So you've got some mixing skills and you would like to bring them live. Or you've been invited by a band's friend and they're like, come and mix us live. And you're thinking, how do I do this? I mean, I'm good in the studio, but how am I going to tackle everything that happens live? Is it really different? Do I just need to mix? Not exactly. You'll figure that out soon enough. How do you venture out of the comfort of your studio into the jungle that is live mixing? Why should you listen to me? Well, I've been doing live shows as a performer for 25 years, I'd say, already. I've played in shitty bars with shitty soundmen. I've played in huge venues overseas with killer soundmans. I've also been in the mixing, producing game for a solid 5 years. And for the past 2 years, I've been invited to do live sound. And from the experience that I've gained in those 2 years, a bunch of knowledge that I can share with you to help you navigate this live mixing. It is different than in the studio, although some things will translate, other things won't. There are things that you really wish that you would have known before you get into it, and once you know them, they're gonna save you so much trouble, so much time, and so much stress that it's really worth taking the time to learn about these. An important caveat, this video will not be about mixing tips for live. This assumes that you already have some of the skills required, even though you're not a stellar live mixer yet. You know how to mix, you trust your ears, you know how the basics of signal flow happen. What you want are guidelines to know how to navigate the perils and joys of mixing live. We're gonna split this video in two main sections. First section is everything that happens before the day of the show. There's a bunch of things that you can do and that you should do in order to be prepared before the day of the show. And second section will be what happens the day of the show. And there's a whole lot there, let me tell you. Let's begin! By the way, it's really hot. I cannot run any AC or a fan, so indulge me with the heat. First thing, very important, the tech writer. The tech writer represents the needs of the artist and the input list that you should know about. Some bands will give you that on a gold platter. It will be a beautiful PDF explaining everything that they need, the input list, the monitoring situation, their stage plot, everything just given to you. This is great. Some bands, they don't know what a tech writer is, and you have to just dig in and figure out at least what the input list is for the band. How many inputs do they have? What's the size of their drum? Amps? Do they need some DIs? How many vocals? Backing vocals? Effects? Figure out the input list. If you have to, write it down, type it down, make your own little version. Once it's done, you need to send it to the venue. This is assuming that you are going to go to a venue. You're not the house engineer of the venue. You are going to a venue for a band, maybe with a band, and then you want to communicate with the house engineer of the venue where you're going. This is the most important relationship that you're gonna have besides the one you have with the band that you're working for. The house guy, their chief engineer, house tech, whatever you want to call it, technical director, doesn't matter. This guy is your friend. Because if he's on your side, he may be more inclined to show you the lay of the land, show you the board, show you how the PA is routed, and help you out. Figure out what board they have. That's another important topic because you're going to be mixing on a board, hopefully, and you need to figure out what they have, what options they have. Sometimes you have no options. You're going to have a old shitty analog board, and sometimes you're going to get lucky. You're going to have a modern digital board that you can learn easily. Once that's cleared up, it's time for you to prepare. So how do you prepare? Well, what you should do is start learning how the board works. If you already know, then you're good. If you don't, figure out the signal flow of the board. How does the signal come in the board and how you route it to where it needs to go, either the PA, the monitors, the effects sends. Figure out those basics so you're less stressed when it comes time to use it. Another thing that you can do if it's a digital board, most of these will be able to accept a scene, like a show. The M32 calls it a scene or a show. You basically prepare something, maybe with a desktop app, maybe with the real board. You prepare your inputs, your colors, your names. You can even EQ and compress, and you can basically finish your mix, save it as a scene, and then once you get to the venue, you load that in. Boop. You just saved yourself maybe an hour and a half, depends. Another thing, reference mixes. Pick mixes that you know very well, that you know sound great, and that you know how they sound in your headphones, in your speakers, in your car, so that when you play them in the PA, you know how they usually sound and you can translate that. And so we keep going. Different setup, different lens, same unsponsored video. By the way, I know this is a lot of information to digest if it's the first time you're hearing it, so I made a one-pager PDFs that tries to encapsulate all the information that's in this video. You can find it in the show notes. If you enjoy this content and if you think it's of value, well, consider a like or subscribe. Thank you. We've got way more to do here. Like I've got some notes here. Woo! There's a bunch, so let's keep going. How sweaty do I look? It is hot, ladies and germs. All right, so what's the first thing that I will do when I get to a venue? It will be to shake hands and make friends. That means meet the team, talk to the band, tell them that you're happy to be mixing for them today, talk to the team, the technical team, and tell them that you're happy to be here and you are glad that they are there to help. Make them your friends, and this will tremendously help the unfolding of the day. Next thing that I like to do is to go to the band and figure out a time for sound check. So basically we aim for a specific time that we are going to start sound check. This ensures that the band does not take too much time before setting up, so that I can put some microphones on, get them patched, do a line check, and then do a sound check. So figure out a sound check time. Next thing that matters is getting the lay of the land from the engineer of the house. So he could basically show you how the board is configured, how the PA is set up. Is this just a left-right? Do you have a sub-center, mono-center? Are there matrices? Things that you need to know. J'ai chaud en tape. Ça n'a aucun bon sens en fait. If you have set up a scene in advance, like we were talking about earlier, now's a good time to put it into the board. If you've done things right, you've got your colors, you've got your names, maybe you've got some EQ started, and then you move on to the next step. The next step being playing your reference mixes in the PA. And you're gonna play them loud. You wanna play them loud as if a band was playing. And you listen to the PA, you listen how it reacts to this mix that you know very well. If you find that there's something harsh and different than what you're used to, take this as a hint as to how this room sounds, how this PA sounds in this room, and how you are hearing it. You need to get accustomed to this PA because you're gonna be working here all night. So you take some mental notes of the things that you think should be ameliorated, and then you can consider using a parametric EQ on your PA to notch some things out and boost some other things maybe. From the information that you've gathered from listening to your reference mixes, you can start doing some moves. You don't have to do that. If you're unsure about your moves, wait. Okay, you can do that later. But if you're listening to 130 hertz and you're like, this is gonna mess with my head all night, then you can remove some of that. My next advice would be to start the patch early. So if you have help to do the patch, don't wait too long. The band is still setting up. You gotta put pressure on that drummer and then eventually go and set up some mics. And if you arrive with some mics and some stands, he's gonna feel the pressure, and usually, you know, he's gonna start trying to accelerate things. So you put your mics on, you set up everything, you get your DIs that you need if you do, and as soon as you can, start the patch. You may have to do it yourself. If you have help, give them the input list, let them run with it. Once that patch is done, it is time for a line check. Line check is basically you watching for signals. You're not listening for audio. Someone's on stage scratching some mics or testing some lines. You're validating the patch to see if it's been done properly. If not, correct course. Finally, the infamous sound check. It is that time of the evening or the afternoon, hopefully, where you have to ask the band to be attentive and to stop noodling around and to listen to you. And usually the first thing you're gonna say is kick. Do not waste too much time on individual tracks. Just get your mics up to line level, a bit of EQ if it's needed, compression, move on. Just don't take too much time. Don't sweat the small stuff like I'm sweating today, right? Because anyways, things are going to be different when the band is playing. Things are going to be different when the crowd is there. And when the band is playing live, they're going to play louder usually. So things will change. Maybe you're going to have to do monitors. And if you do, I'm sorry, that's an extra step. But sometimes you have to do both. Make sure they hear themselves. And if they're a little bit, unsure about how it sounds, still ask them to play a song. And then afterwards, they're going to know way more what they need. And also remember, things are different live. You may be doing different moves. Your EQs may be different. Maybe you're gonna do more subtractive EQ than you think. Maybe you're gonna be boosting at places where you normally would not boost. Maybe you're gonna boost more or less than usual. Look for what you wanna hear, make it happen without worrying too much about what you're actually seeing or doing, right? So trust this. Trust your intuition, and if nothing's feeding back and nobody's looking at you weird, then you're good. So now it's time to mute everything but the house music and go relax. Oh, one extra piece of knowledge that can save you a lot of time and hassle is create yourself some buses. Group your stuff so you can basically mix your band with 5 or 6 faders, and then if you need to dig in, you just go to that page, to that input, and you just readjust your EQ or do whatever the hell you need to do to make it sound good. And so you have successfully survived the sound check, and now it's showtime. You unmute everything and you wait for the band to start. To me, that's the most stressful moment of the evening because everything that you've done prior to this leads to this moment. The music starting. Everything hopefully is gonna be working well. There's not gonna be any bad surprises. The band is gonna be just crushing it. Everybody's gonna be headbanging and the night's gonna be a success. I'm not saying that it's exactly the way things will unfold, but I will say that if you followed everything that I've said to a T, you're gonna put the chances on your side to make this a great night. From that moment on, keep mixing, keep improving your mix. Don't go and start scrolling on your phone because show started, nobody needs anything in their monitors and you're good. Keep balancing things out. If there's a solo, feature it. If you can, readjust some EQs to make them sound better, you can use some reverbs in sections that require them. And I think that is enough for today. Here's one thing that I failed to mention, a piece of equipment that could really save the day for you. These things. They are not sponsoring the video. Let me open them to show you. Yeah, so these basic type of earplugs with a filter. They have a filter. They do not denaturate the music that much. You still get the top end, you still get some low end as well, especially when you're patching. If the drummer decides to do a massive rim shot as you are positioning the bottom snare mic, you may want to cut him afterwards, and I wouldn't want you to want to do that. Even after the show has started, sometimes I'll put these on. And if you're in doubt, you're thinking, am I making stupid decisions? Well, pluck them out and see if you did. That's it. Oh, I put a link in the description if you want these earbuds. They change. They have new models all the time. Probably will get a small commission if you choose to buy them through that link, which will help support the channel, which will help me keep going, providing as much value as I possibly can to you nice folks. Take care. See you in the next one. Bye.